Welcome to Golden Mastermind Seminars Radio with your host, Jeffery Combs.
Good afternoon. Tuesday, Facebook Live, 2 for Tuesday. Jeffery Combs, President and Founder, Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated. Welcome. This is the culmination of 22 plus years of hosting this Facebook Live. It originally started off as a More Heart Than Talent mindset call in September of 1999. So that's the culmination of this. So that will be my 24-year anniversary, will be coming up this September. 24 years hosting either a Facebook Live. Marcus Gardner, good to see you this afternoon. And I see Tracy, good to see you. Marcus, I was your coach many years ago. About 13 years ago, I think I was your coach in 2010. Matt Smith, good to see you. Matt, you do remember the More Heart Than Talent mindset call. Tracy, you may remember those. They originally started off on Tuesday nights. They were a Tuesday night call at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. I interviewed Jim Rohn on 2 different occasions, Dr. Joe Dispenza on 2 different occasions. David Harris definitely remembers the More Heart Than Talent mindset calls going back to 1999. So welcome everyone. Topic for today's Facebook Live is non-attachment consciousness. Non-attachment, N-O-N, attachment, 2 words, non-attached means not attached, and then to the outcome, not attached to the result, not attached to a person, a place, a situation, being able to operate free in a relaxed body. And when it comes to sales, branding, marketing, speaking, business, contractors, other situations, you're able to easily and effortlessly let go. Separate the feelings from the events that shape them so that you are not the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings. So I posted a graphic right before this Facebook Live to promote it. When you are good enough, you will no longer feel abandoned, meaning that if you feel abandoned, if you feel rejected, there is an attachment. In sales, branding, marketing, or any type of selling experience, it's very common for most of society to have rejection consciousness, to worry about the outcome that hasn't happened, to give energy to the feelings based on past events that you're feeling in the present event about the future that hasn't happened. And so this worry that we live in, it affects our relationships. And when we hold on to these feelings, then we're worried about making a mistake, being rejected, the outcome that hasn't happened, the person not buying from us, someone getting upset with us, someone feeling like we are trying to sell them something. We put this story and this energy into events that haven't happened based on past events. So if you grew up with a set of parents in a household where there's alcoholism, you grew up with a set of parents, or you may grow up with one parent, or you're from a broken household, you have 2 sets of parents. If you're the adult child of alcoholics, if you're an adult child of narcissists, if you're an adult child of dysfunctional relationships, if you have a blended family, if you're from a family where there's 2 left shoes or there's 2 right shoes and the family doesn't fit, there's a high probability you will grow up in hypervigilance, fight, or flight. I coached a woman earlier today, and it was assisting her to let go of that anxious laugh, that ha ha ha, that anxious laugh that so much of society lives in. And I was assisting her to understand that anxious laugh is not a joy laugh. It's not a laugh from pleasure. It's a laugh from anxiety, and that anxiety is the fight or flight that we live in. In a relaxed body, we're here, we're present. In an overwhelmed, restricted, tight body, which then leads to addictions because we're holding on to this hypervigilance. We have brain fog left from the trauma bonds that we held on to. If you were a foster child, put in foster care, or if you're an adopted child, brought into a family, there's a whole multitude of situations that can happen from that also. Or you could be a foster child or a child that was brought into a family, adopted in a loving family, but that's not always the case. A lot of the times you don't fit in, you're not good enough, and then there's the feelings that linger the rest of your life unless you meet me, coach with me, or read the books, go to the 12-step meetings. But even reading the books in the 12-step meetings are not going to be the result of letting go. They can absolutely give you insight and wisdom. The culture of any 12-step group can absolutely foster that camaraderie and the experience of recovery, but on your own, it's going to be your responsibility to understand cause and effect and why you do what you do. Most of society that is skilled enough or courageous enough to step into recovery then will manifest another addiction to replace the previous addiction until the let go process is really mastered. And letting go is the separation from the feelings and the events that shaped them. So it's very common to continue to live in liability debt, gain weight, hold on to weight, create dysfunctional relationships while being clean and sober in certain recovery. And it's the whole package that you learn to live in, the recovery where you are good enough. Your relationships do improve. You're no longer codependent. You're not homie the rescuer. You're not trying to save the whole family. You've not taken it all on your shoulders. And you're able to let go of the guilt associated with self-esteem so that you don't feel selfish in that level of your recovery. I want to say hello to Patricia Snyder, Billy Tully, Paul Hagedorn, Jennifer Doyle Brady. Thank you all for joining me. The topic for today's Facebook Live is non-attachment consciousness. This was the email that was sent out earlier in the week. And so this is the syllabus for the call that I write out myself. So point number 1 is detached. In the book, Codependent No More, Melody Beatty in chapter 5 uses the term detached. Now in the time frame of in the 1980s when that book was written, that was great content. It still is great content. Since I have changed the word detached to non-attached, and that comes from David Hawkins. If you read David Hawkins' content, The Map of the Scale of Consciousness Explained, one of his more advanced books later in his life, after his death, Hawkins died in 2012. His foundation continued to write content that he never published and turned it into multiple books. His best book, without a doubt, after his death is Letting Go. Prior to his death would be Power versus Force. David Hawkins is the premier, most prolific writer on the topic of consciousness, specifically on letting go. So Hawkins covers the term right here, non-attached. So there's detached right there. Non-attached allows you to participate differently. Detachment typically comes from discernment and anger. So it's like if you in a relationship, it's just like, well, I'll never talk to them again. In non-attachment, you can forgive them and forgive yourself and be non-attached to that outcome. Or if that person continues to stalk you or attempt to traumatize you in non-attachment, you won't give them any energy and any power, and then that enhances the potential for them going away because you're not giving them the energy because you're non-attached. Non-attachment allows you to operate more fully in life without being attached. And in that state of consciousness, in that non-attached state, then you're not in your head feeling guilty about other people and other situations. In codependent recovery, non-attachment is essential because you cannot be in recovery of codependency, which is enabling, over-obligating, rescuing, trying to save people with your money or your credit, over-obligating yourself to them, living in a chronic state of guilt, trying to control other people's outcomes, children and their children, and all this other fuckery that goes on with all of this that so many people hold on to because they can't let go of it, because they can't let go of their own guilt. Because of the shame they hold on to, then guilt becomes the outcome that they try and control other people's outcomes because there's an attachment. And the attachments, whatever events you're holding on to, as you become more non-attached, that's the separation from the feelings and the events that shape them. And so you won't move your tormentors in with you at the end of their life, or you won't feel this obligation to have to over-obligate yourself to take care of others. And then that codependency creates a dependency, and then the person that you, person or persons that you typically over-obligate yourself, then expect you to take care of them because now an entitlement starts. And so in this entitlement, then enabling is a big component of this. So when you are good enough, you won't feel compelled to do this. Now, it's also very common for many people in traumatic relationships, in trauma bond relationships, or in jobs and careers where you have a manager or an owner who traumatizes you, but you stay in it because you're too guilty to leave. Well, it also shows up in personal relationships where your story is, I'm not sure if I can live alone. I've never lived alone, so I'm not sure if I can go out there and be alone. So I'll just stay in this bad love relationship because bad love is better than no love. And being violated is better than not being certain if I can make it on my own. And so that's what many people will do. They'll stay attached to drama and chaos. They'll stay attached to businesses. They'll stay attached to mentors and leaders who really aren't good for them, but they'll stay in the relationship because it's what the ego knows. It's familiar. And it fulfills that neurochemical craving, that edge that we tend to live on of not being good enough, disappointment, and frustration. Now, as you begin to have a better understanding and awareness of this content that I am covering, or as you coach with me in a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years as I coach you, and you have a better understanding of this content, and you begin facilitating it for yourself, one day at a time, when you're by yourself. And Josh Moore is on today's Facebook Live. Josh has been my client going back to 2012. Matt Smith is on today's Facebook Live. Matt has been my client since 2015. I mean, there's many of you that I've coached for multiple years. And so as you receive the content that I inspire you to understand, and then you begin to facilitate it for yourself, it'll also assist you as you build teams and cultures, because now you're going to build a team that's independent, not codependent. It's not forced, and then you're not yelling at your teammates, telling them what they have to do. I was covering this with a leader today about changing this content, this context that gets handed down in many sales organizations. If you have to go to the training, you have to be here, and you must be here. What's wrong with you? You can't take a weekend off. I mean, this is part of this force that so many people live in. And then there's also many people can't produce because they're too guilty to produce. So you have to find a middle ground in that so that you can be non-attached to the outcome in a very relaxed body, separating your feelings from the events from shape them, breathing, releasing, and letting go. It's a breathe, release, and let go. That's what creates the higher consciousness. The breath and the release and letting go is what begins to create the separation between the neurons that wire and fire that you in your brain that creates the neurological network of neurons that wire and fire that form feelings. Then the feelings are based on a series of emotions and when the emotions are from anxiety, fear, and doubt, you'll be holding on to anger, hate, resentment, guilt, shame, abandonment, rejection, overwhelmed feelings, grief, apathy, and pride. Now, those are all low levels of energy that in transmutation, that is transmuted through the energy of the feelings that we're holding on to. And you can see people that are holding on to these feelings, and you yourself can feel them. And then it affects other areas of your body called diseases. And it shows up in gut issues, bladder issues, prostate issues, inflammation issues, inflamed gut, inflamed prostate, irritable bowel syndrome, overactive bladder, and then the subluxations from the cervical neck, the thoracic spine, the 12 vertebrae, the lower lumbar. I occasionally will have lumbar 4 and 5 go out on both sides of the body that then feels like there's knee pain, ankle pain, when really it is a series of emotional events that we hold on to that are mind-body connections. And as you have a better understanding of what a mind-body connection is. So if you were born with asthma, and you look that up in Louise Hay, her book, Hay, not S, Louise Hay, her book, You Can Heal Your Life, written in the mid-'80s, you'll find out that asthma in a child is an unwanted child that doesn't want to be in this life. And so that creates a respiratory issue, just like eczema in a mind-body connection would create a child that gets under someone's skin. And so that eczema, psoriasis, the skin issues are oftentimes unresolved anger. I want to tell you a little Lisa Witt. Lisa was my client 5 years ago. Lisa, good to see you on today's 6 years ago. Good to see you, Lisa. An honor to have been your coach. I want to say hello to Debbie Ricks-Fuller, Sarah Baker. So Josh Moran says, I was a bedwetter, a child scared of my father. All right, so that's a very good topic right there. John Kirsten, thank you for joining. Sarah, good to see you. So if you look up wetting the bed, so if you're a bedwetter, it often means that there's anxiety about one of the parents, oftentimes the father. There's usually physical abuse, emotional abuse, other situations going on. So John says he got accepted to NET and he's excited about healing technique. Thank you very much, John, for posting here. So if you are new to my content, I offer free 20-minute coaching sessions for first-time callers. If you've ever considered hiring me to be your coach, you can send me a Facebook message. You can also go to my website. You can fill out a 20-minute survey, or you can just send me your phone number in Facebook Messenger if you would like to speak to me regarding my coaching services. And I have been a coach for 25 years. This is my 25th year. I've coached 17,000 clients, 70,000 hours one-on-one. I'm very skilled at assisting people to understand. The topic of today is non-attachment, but more specifically, why you do what you do, the mind-body connections that we hold on to that creates our anxiety, fear, and doubt. And if you're seeking letting go is a skill that once you master letting go, or you're in the mastery of, it will be the most important skill that you ever learn, because you take it with you everywhere. It will serve you everywhere that you go. It'll also serve other people because you'll be able to assist them in the facilitation through your service and raising your value in letting go. And if you host a team of people, or you are an employer, or you're a manager, letting go will also allow you to practice the emotional discipline of not being in conflict, not being overwhelmed as frequently, not being as controlling, and will also assist you in codependent issues where you feel this urge, this guilt to over-obligate yourself, to enable, to do more for others than you do for yourself, and then feel left behind and last while not feeling good enough. Josh says, my coaching has unequivocally changed his life. Thank you, Josh. I am honored to be your coach and friend. I also highly endorse you as a sales professional and a team builder, building a team in the financial services world. Thank you, Josh. I highly, highly endorse you. Lisa Witt, so good to see you this afternoon. I believe I saw Valerie show up here today. So my name is Jeffery Combs, president and founder, Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated. This is my 25th anniversary of owning Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated. I will have that anniversary this September. I see Ryan Christ has joined. Good to see you, Ryan. Thank you for being on today's Facebook Live. Tracy Calvert, always awesome to see you here on today's Facebook Live. I'm going to go ahead and let you go here this afternoon. I'll be back here tonight. Today is Tuesday, 2 for Tuesday. You can find me on Facebook Live tonight at 9 p.m. That is Pacific. That is after the midnight hour Eastern Standard Time. Linda Muldoon, good to see you this afternoon. Thank you for joining me and great connecting with you last week, Linda. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Jeffery Combs.